Today, we're diving into a story that peels back the layers of a seemingly perfect life to reveal a web of secrets and a shocking crime. This is the story of Clara, Mark, and Leo, and a friendship that took a dark and unexpected turn. Clara and Mark were the couple everyone admired. They had a beautiful home, successful careers, and a love story that seemed straight out of a movie. Mark's best friend, Leo, was practically family. He was the charming, witty artist who was always there, a constant presence at their dinner parties and weekend getaways. To the outside world, they were an inseparable trio. But behind closed doors, a storm was brewing. Clara found herself increasingly drawn to Leo. It wasn't just his artistic flair or his easygoing nature. It was the way he listened, the way his eyes seemed to understand her unspoken thoughts. Mark, consumed by his demanding job, had become distant. The once vibrant connection between them had faded into a comfortable but silent routine. Leo filled that silence. A shared glance here, a lingering touch there. It started small, a dangerous current flowing just beneath the surface of their everyday interactions. One evening, Mark was working late, as he often did. Leo had come over to help Clara fix a leaky faucet. The air was thick with unspoken feelings. As they worked side by side in the kitchen, the proximity was electric. Clara, feeling a mix of guilt and a desperate need for connection, found herself confessing her loneliness. Leo listened, his expression a mixture of sympathy and something deeper. The line they had been carefully treading was about to be crossed, but just as the moment reached its peak, the front door clicked open. Mark was home early. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Mark, oblivious, just smiled, happy to see his wife and best friend together. For Clara and Leo, it was a chilling near miss that only intensified their secret bond. The secret glances and quiet conversations soon evolved into clandestine meetings. A chance encounter at a coffee shop, a late-night phone call when Mark was asleep. Each secret moment felt like a thrill, a validation for Clara that she was still desired, and for Leo, a step closer to the life he secretly envied. The guilt was a constant companion, but the pull was stronger. They were playing with fire, convinced they could control the flames. They didn't realize they were already standing in the ashes of the trust they were burning down. The breaking point arrived on the weekend of Mark and Clara's anniversary. Mark had planned a surprise getaway, a chance to reconnect. But the night before they were supposed to leave, Mark received an urgent call from work. A major project had hit a snag. He had to fly out immediately. He was apologetic, promising to make it up to her. Disappointment washed over Clara, quickly replaced by a different, more dangerous thought. With Mark gone for the weekend, she and Leo would have the house all to themselves. It was the opportunity they had been secretly waiting for. That Friday night, Leo arrived at the house. The initial excitement, however, quickly gave way to a heavy, suffocating atmosphere. The house, usually filled with laughter and warmth, felt cold and empty without Mark. Every corner seemed to hold a memory of the man they were betraying. The thrill of the forbidden was replaced by the sour taste of guilt. This wasn't the romantic fantasy Clara had imagined. It felt hollow, wrong. As they sat in the living room, the silence was deafening. The fantasy was crumbling, and the reality of their actions was setting in. Suddenly, a sound from upstairs shattered the silence. A floorboard creaked. Clara and Leo froze, their hearts pounding. They were supposed to be alone. "Did you hear that?" Clara whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Leo, trying to appear calm, nodded slowly. He stood up, grabbing a heavy fireplace poker. "Stay here," he whispered, his voice tight. As he cautiously made his way to the staircase, every shadow seemed to hold a threat. Who was in the house? Was it a burglar? Or was it something far more personal, far more terrifying? Leo crept up the stairs, his knuckles white around the poker. He pushed open the bedroom door to find the room in disarray. Drawers were pulled out, clothes strewn across the floor. Then he saw it. On the bed, lying motionless, was Mark. A wave of shock and horror washed over Leo. He rushed to Mark's side, but it was too late. There was no pulse. Panic set in. He stumbled back, his mind racing. Mark wasn't on a business trip. He had been here all along. The urgent work call was a lie. But why? Had he known about the affair? Did he set a trap? Just then, Clara, unable to wait any longer, came up the stairs. The sight that greeted her, her husband, lifeless on the bed, and his best friend standing over him with a potential weapon, was a vision of pure horror. She let out a scream that tore through the silent house. The scene was damning. To any outsider, it looked like a classic crime of passion. A wife and her lover caught by a husband who came home unexpectedly, leading to a fatal confrontation. Their secret affair had just become the motive for murder. The police arrived to a scene of chaos and grief. Clara was inconsolable, and Leo was in a state of shock. During the initial questioning, their stories were a mess of half-truths and panicked omissions. They didn't mention the affair, terrified it would seal their fate, but the detectives were experienced. They picked up on the inconsistencies, the looks that passed between Clara and Leo. The lead detective, a sharp woman named Inspector Davis, sensed there was more to the story. She noticed something odd. Mark's briefcase was open on his desk, and inside, mixed with work papers, were detailed financial reports on Leo's struggling art gallery. There were also printed-out emails between Leo and several unknown business contacts. It seemed Mark wasn't just a trusting husband. He had been investigating his best friend. As the investigation deepened, the forensic team made a critical discovery. The cause of death wasn't a physical struggle. Mark had been poisoned. The poison was a rare, fast-acting toxin, and traces of it were found in a half-empty glass of whiskey on his nightstand. This changed everything. It wasn't a spontaneous crime of passion. It was a premeditated murder. The focus now shifted. Who had the means and motive to poison Mark? Under the pressure of Inspector Davis's relentless questioning, Leo's composure finally broke. He confessed to the affair, but swore he had nothing to do with the murder. Then he revealed a crucial detail. Mark had recently discovered that Leo was in massive debt. His gallery was failing, and he had gotten involved with some very dangerous people, loan sharks who were pressuring him for money. Mark, ever the loyal friend, had offered to help. He had been using his business skills to look for a way out for Leo, and in the process had uncovered the illegal activities of the people Leo was indebted to. Mark wasn't just helping a friend. He was about to expose a criminal operation. With this new information, the police pieced together the real story. The loan sharks, realizing Mark was close to exposing them, decided to silence him. Knowing about the affair, perhaps from tailing Leo, they saw the perfect opportunity. They staged the murder to look like a crime of passion, framing Clara and Leo. The fake urgent work call that sent Mark away was likely a ruse they orchestrated to get him to lower his guard, or perhaps Mark himself lied about the trip to protect Clara while he met with someone he thought could help. The criminals broke into the house, poisoned Mark, and ransacked the room to make it look like a confrontation had occurred, knowing Leo was on his way over. Clara and Leo weren't the perpetrators. They were the pawns in a much deadlier game. The real killers had used their betrayal as the perfect cover. In the end, the police used the evidence from Mark's briefcase to track down and arrest the loan sharks. Clara and Leo were cleared of the murder charges, but their lives were forever shattered. The truth had set them free from prison, but not from the guilt and the consequences of their actions. Their affair didn't directly cause Mark's death, but it created the perfect storm for his enemies to strike. They were left to live with the devastating knowledge that their secret betrayal had inadvertently paved the way for the murder of the man they had both, in their own ways, loved. It's a tragic reminder that sometimes the most dangerous secrets are not the ones we keep, but the opportunities they create for others. Thank you so much for watching. This was a heavy one, but it really makes you think about the ripple effects of our choices. If you found this story compelling, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next deep dive. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.